Welcome one and all, and thank you for joining us at Little Rock Gaming. That's gaming from the Little Rock. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Commander decks. Thank you so much to Forbidden Power for providing us these. We're going to be reviewing them and giving an honest opinion about what we think. If you want to pick them up, check them out in the description below. We have a link to their page. You can contact them on Facebook, or you can visit them in Msida if you're ever in the area. With that, let's get into it.
So guys, today we're going to be talking about the Desert Bloom deck.
Now, Landfall, love it.
Well, more like Lands Matter actually. When we get to see the breakdown of the deck, we're going to notice this. At first, I thought it was a Landfall deck. However, the more I spent time with it and I was reviewing some of the cards, I noticed that it's actually, you want everything on your graveyard, especially your lands. So, let's just start by talking about the face commander of the deck, which is Yuma, Proud Protector. A 6/6 legendary creature, a human ranger. And this spell costs 1 less to cast for each land card in your graveyard. And whenever Yuma, Proud Protector, enters the battlefield or attacks, you may actually sacrifice a land.
Kind of like the Gitrog monster?
Kind of like the Gitrog monster, and if you do, you actually get to draw a card. And whenever a desert card is put in your graveyard from anywhere, either from your hand, from the top of your library, from the battlefield, you actually create a 4/2 green plant warrior creature token with reach.
That's pretty good actually, like you make a cactus.
Yeah, well, yeah, like the whole thing, like if one thing is to note out of, especially the art of this particular commander, is that he's holding a cacti baby, and I think it's adorable. Also, like, it gives me a lot of the Mandalorian vibes.
Okay,
you know, like when you see like baby, the art, you know, like a little baby and a protector, a ranger.
I like it. You know, I like the vibe. Speaking of baby plants, is that the secondary commander, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. His name is Kiri, the Talented Sprout. So he's a 0/3 legendary plant druid. Other plants and tree folk you control get +2/+0, so he makes them a little bit stronger. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, return target plant, tree folk, or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So he's a bit of recursion as well. To be honest, I don't know how much, you don't want to be taking things out of the graveyard so much in the sense of your lands, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, this is more of a value piece when your commander's already in the field. Now, one thing to note of this one, out of all of the decks that we reviewed on this time round, this is a not so great secondary commander. This is a creature that you most definitely, at least for the build of this deck, you want in the 99.
Okay.
Because the synergy is not built around this creature, it's built around Yuma. Whereas the other decks, you can like play around them a little bit.
Are there even any tree folk in the deck? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Like, I saw very little, and most of the plants that were part of the deck, the plant creatures, were tokens.
Oh yeah, okay.
And sapper. So, you know, like they were like creature tokens. So not much that you can take out of the graveyard, because as we know, creature tokens, when they leave the battlefield, they just disappear. What these decks like to do is you play the long game. You're not trying to turbo out of the gate and try to get as many things on the board. And there's a reason for that. And that is because a lot of the deserts actually come into play tapped. Okay? Remember, the value of this is to have things on your graveyard to be discounting not only your commander, but also your big beater, right? And of course, you will have all these pieces of recursion that allows you to play lands from the graveyard. So it's going to be a bit of a slow burn, let's call it like that. However, that's why you also run like more pieces of removal that, you know.
Yeah, you want to control the board.
You want to, exactly, you want to keep everyone at your same pace, because then by the time you get to play big mana spells, you're basically going to overrun the board, as green likes to do. Now, the thing here again is just generate value. You want pieces on your board that will generate value out of playing a land, then you're going to get 2 tokens, or you put a land from your hand to the graveyard that is going to generate some other tokens. So you want to, you know, be in a good place where you have enough pieces, maybe not to remove, but if you are being attacked, people cannot gang up on you, because you can just chop block with your tokens, or you can just, you know, maybe buff them up late in the game.
So out of the box, the deck comes with 1 protection piece, 1 big beater, 40 lands, which is a bit high, but obviously this is a lands matters deck, so you want a high number of lands, 11 ramp pieces, 5 token generators, and 10 removal pieces, which is pretty good. 11 ramp is a little bit low, but it's a land matters deck, so you're probably going to have recurring land effects.
100%.
And also, 10 removal is pretty okay. You might want a little bit more, but it sounds like a good starting off point. There are 4 landfall effects, which does seem low. So you were right earlier when you said it's a land matters rather than just a plain old landfall deck. There are 11 pieces of recursion. That's quite high. That's quite high.
Yep.
Also 6 mil. So you are going to be getting things into the graveyard, getting other people's things into the graveyard, and then being able to recur them yourself. And then finally we have card draw at 10 pieces, which is quite a good number. Maybe you'd like to get that a little bit higher, but it's pretty good.
There are some new and notable cards that are part of this particular deck. And one thing to note is that there are, at least for what we counted, there are at least 23 new cards that are part of these particular commander decks.
Okay.
Well, out of all of those, well, of course there are the commander cards, but however, there are also like some new deserts that haven't been printed since Amonkhet. So, you know, like it's been a while, to say the least. Now, some notable cards are, you know, the addition. So new cards are Rumbleweed, which
It's kind of like a crater hoof for landfall.
it's kind of a crater hoof for landfall. Yeah. However, instead of like the broken thing that the crater hoof does, what it does is that it gives trample and +3/+3 kind
so
of.
it's
like,
overrun.
Yeah, it's kind of like overrun. However, the cool thing is that it's discounted 1 mana for each land in your graveyard as well. So that's why you want to keep things on your graveyard, because this actually is the only beater out of the whole deck.
Wow.
Of course, you have some other staples such as like
Avenger of Zendikar,
Scoot Swarm, you know, like this kind of thing that you will have like just a bunch of tokens and you will be basically overrunning the board for, you know, 1 damage each. However, this is the beater of the deck, the Rumbleweed, right? And then there is this other card that I would like to note out that is called Requisition Rate, which includes the new Spree mechanic. Now, the Spree mechanic, how it works is that you have multiple different effects of the same card. So this one in particular, you can pay 1 white plus. So for every 1 extra that you pay, you can choose a different effect. So some of them are removal, some of them, you know, give you lifelink, some of them give you different effects according to how much mana are you willing to pump into the same spell. Okay? Now, then there are some, in terms of value for this particular deck, we have some really good reprints that haven't been, you know, reprinted, you know, redundancy apart, for a really long time, such as the Ramunap Excavator and Ancient Green Warden, which hadn't been reprinted since Commander Legends and Zendikar Rising, respectively.
Wow, yeah.
So, yeah, especially the Ancient Green Warden is the first time it has been printed in Lord knows, well, insert this time frame. But yeah, so it has some really good value. Out of all of the decks that we have for this particular set, it is the cheaper one in terms of value. At the moment of recording, the value of the deck, once like all the individual pieces, it's around $94.
Sure.
Being the cheaper one out of all of them. Favorite card and worst card on the deck?
My favorite card, I think, is a new card. That's Rumbleweed. I think it's interesting. I think the Grave Land synergy makes it cool, and it's a Crater Hoof for landfall decks, but it's not just Crater Hoof, you know? Because playing Crater Hoof, as soon as you do it the first time, you realize, that was too easy. And you feel bad about it. But this it has a lot of setup into it, and then pretty good payoff if you have a board of 10 creatures, giving everything +3/+3 is nuts, you know, and trample. And to be fair, if you just put in a few fetch lands into the deck, you're definitely going to be getting a discount of at least 5, you know? So that's just going to make it a 6-cost Crater Hoof, basically, which is great. Or a 6-cost Endrace Forerunners, that's better. So, yeah, value-wise, I think that's worth it. What about you?
For me, Bovine Intervention. It's always good to have removal pieces in white that destroy things, but it's even better when you can have like a big payoff, you know, creature that someone is playing, and then you just say like, well, actually your thing now is a 2/2 white ox creature token.
I love it. I do like the wordplay. Bovine instead of divine. I love it. It's great. It's great.
It is amazing.
And the art is pretty cool.
And the art is pretty cool, which is, you know, it's going to be displaying on the screen right now. But it's just, you know, a Nox that is looking at a guy being sucked by a tornado. So, you know, it is like amazing. It is amazing.
Maybe you want to say being swept away.
Being sucked in.
Least favorite card of the deck?
Least favorite card of the deck? Easily has to be Kiri.
I don't think it's my least favorite card just because it's bad. I think it's my least favorite card because it doesn't synergize so well with the actual deck.
Correct. Same. I think that if you have that as your commander and you build around it with tree folk, with like plant creatures and all this stuff, it can actually be quite good, especially because it's a low CMC commander, and standardized, with all 3 colors and like and a generic one.
Plus he's a lord, giving +2/+0. That's pretty strong.
Exactly. However, on the particular synergy out of the box, it is not great. So, unfortunately for Kiri, my guy, it is an pick out of the deck.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think the deck is pretty well put together. I would maybe just try and focus a little bit more on fetch lands and cycling lands and getting lands into the graveyard a little bit more, but otherwise, yeah. What about score, Luis? How much would we rate this deck from a scale of S to F? S being the highest, F being the lowest.
That's a pretty good point. Well, considering this particular deck and how heavy it is with recursion and everything, I will personally give it a B.
Okay.
A B. For the reasoning, my reasoning for giving it a B is that this deck can be a lot of fun to play, but it might be a little bit too complicated for new players.
Sure.
In the sense of like, there's a lot of triggers that happen when you play a land. So you need to keep track of a lot of different things. Then, if you are playing, recursion at the same time as you have a Scout Swarm on the board, at some point you can get like 1024 Scout Swarms on the board.
Yeah.
So, if you are not, like if triggers are like something that are not entirely your thing, I wouldn't recommend it for you. However, again, as we said, it has some good staples, like from like landfall decks and land recursion and all these things. So it is a good pick. However, again, a B.
Sure. I would probably give it a C+, just because, as you said, out of the box, it's a little bit slower. It has a higher average mana curve. It's got a lot of tap plans. And obviously with a bit of upgrading, it would be very strong. Add in some fetch lands, some, tutors maybe, get some like,
There is the card that has From the Loam or something like that. That is...
Life from the Loam?
Life from the Loam, that it has Dredge.
Dredge,
so you will be able to just do like crazy stuff with that. So
absolutely self-milling a bunch of lands. Yeah, that would be very strong.
So yeah, no, I completely get like it's a bit slow, but for a beginner, like if you have no experience playing Magic whatsoever, I will give this one a little bit of a maybe after I have like at least like 10 Commander games and I get to know, maybe some triggers and effects and ease and all this stuff, right?
Absolutely. Just so you know, we don't rate the power of the deck just on power. We also rate it on ease of use for a new player and fun.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about having fun, guys.
That's it.
If you would like to check the full deck list, the list will be in the description below. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and that it informed you, maybe helped you make a decision on which one of these decks you would like to get. Once again, thank you to Forbidden Power for providing these decks for us. If you would like to get one of these, again, link in the description, you will be able to get them yourself. That being said, catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe.
Bye.